G'day guys, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out the new iteration of the Blood and Steel Witchhunter build, and I'm going to be showcasing what has changed and has improved, because this build has actually been buffed. Unlike many other builds that have been hit with a lot of nerfs, this build is shining. It's doing real well. We're going to cover gear first. Just get that out of the way. Then we're going to go over the passive tree and the gem changes, which is the most important part of the build, and mainly what's changed. Over here we have our crossbow. We're obviously going to want to stack as much physical damage as possible. If you can get attack speed, awesome, but you're going to want life leech just to help us with our sustain. We're pretty survivable, but any more sustain is always a boon. If you can get a +2 projectiles on your crossbow, that's even better. Unfortunately, I have not been that lucky. Over here we have our first unique item is Mirix Uxor? I think that's how you pronounce it. Basically, we're getting this because of the 100% increased culling strike threshold. Now, going over to the tree, we are a culling strike witch hunter. We are going to be grabbing this culling strike ascendancy, and we are going to be grabbing the cull the hordes, which increase 25% increased culling strike threshold. These stack. That means white mobs are going to be dying pretty quickly, around 50% of their health, actually, as well as I believe it was like 70% for magic, 50% of their health gone, around 70% of the magic health gone, and I believe it's a lot lower for res. Don't quote me on this, I don't know the exact numbers. They're pretty damn good. Check out the guide below in the link to get the exact numbers in the description field. Right, next we have our boots. We are just getting this for the aggravated bleeding on enemies when they enter your presence. This is absolutely insane, because if they're somehow not aggravated bleeding, which we do have a pretty high chance to aggravate bleed, but it's not 100%. So when they come into presence, they are going to be bleeding very, very quickly and dying very, very fast. And because we're a range character, we don't want anything in our radius. So if they get in our radius, well, we want them out pretty damn quickly, and that helps with that. Over here, we have the Anointed, or Allocate's Crushing Verdict. That bad boy is all the way over here. That gives us a 5% reduced attack speed, which we don't really notice too much because our attacks are pretty fast anyway. 30% increased stun build up, which is amazing, and 50% increased attack damage. Very, very cool, because attack damage also scales with our blood explosions, which we will visit a little bit later. Everything else, we are just trying to get our resistance caps as well as our attribute requirements. You notice these rings are, well, this ring is pretty damn good for attributes. Attributes is the main issue you're going to face, but that is why we also grab this little star here. Helps us out quite a lot. Equipment and skill gems have 4% reduced attribute requirements. We get 3 of those, and 7% increased attributes, and all good stuff. That is for the gear. As far as I'm aware, I'm always running around with a immunity to freeze, because getting frozen is essentially a death penalty. Yes, that's it for the gear. Moving on to the passive tree. Not a whole lot has changed. We have moved away from grenades. Now, I haven't gotten my fourth ascendancy, but that would go into Decimating Strike. So for the ascendancies, we would first, straight away, first ascendancy, grab Zealous Inquisition. 10% chance for enemies you kill to explode, dealing 100% of their maximum licensed physical damage. Chance is doubled against undead and demons. There's a lot of undead demons in the game, so this procs a lot, and it is so glorious when it does. A massive dopamine hit, and we love that. Over here, we grab our second ascendancy, which is Obsessive Rituals. which gives us sorcery ward. They buffed this in the last patch. It was 50% less armor and evasion, now it's 35. So we are so much more tanky than we were before, and sorcery ward is still absolutely incredible for completely mitigating elemental damage, which is scary. Moving on, of course, we grabbed the Culling Strike. This is our last ascendancy, or second last ascendancy, because we want to make sure we have that while we're mapping. We worry about this first in the campaign, but once we get some maps, we want to get rid of those packs a lot faster, and that's where Culling Strike comes into play. Moving down to the base tree, we have done a little bit of changes, but nothing too drastic. As you can see, we've continued down the right side just like before. Went ahead and grabbed Remorseless, Feel No Pain. This time around, we grabbed both of the paths heading down on the right side here. We've grabbed the increased projectile damage and chain. That will allow us to spread our damage out a lot faster, spread our bleed, spread our armor break, and of course we got the increased area effect for those explosions. Nothing's really changed on the left side of the tree. We of course gone the two-handed increased damage route. These will also increase our stun build-up, which is amazing because we're shooting so fast. Things will get stunned, things will then explode, keeping us relatively safe. We have gone for the armor break nodes because we are armor breaking. That is a core feature of this build. And of course, the increased physical damage is absolutely amazing. And all the bleed nodes, no brainer there. We've also gone backup plan, 50% increased evasion rating if you've been hit recently, 50% increased armor if you haven't been hit recently. Very good for tank and survivability. Moving down, we have even more for tank and survivability with 120% increased armor and evasion rating when on low life, and 8% more chance to evade melee attacks. That stacks with our spirit gem, which we will get to. I believe it's Wind Dancer. Very, very amazing. For the gems, we just want to increase our inflict bleeding on hit chance. We want to make sure they're bleeding. That's basically it, really. Moving down, we want to grab all of the bleed nodes this time. Because we're not focusing on grenades anymore, we have a lot more points to invest in bigger bleeds, more consistent bleeds. Moving down, continuing on with the bleeds as always, and grabbing advanced munitions. 25% chance to inflict ailments with projectiles, which would cause effects of bleeds as well. On the left side, very similar to the last iteration of the build, we are going with the area attack damage. Now, the fun thing is our skill of Herald of Blood, which is the absolutely amazing big feature of this brand new iteration, is attack damage. So this actually gets an increase of damage from these nodes as well. Down here, we have increased our survivability. Now this leather-bound gauntlets is actually the reason we only get armor on our gloves, because we're going to be getting 3+1 evasion per that armor. So essentially it is 247 evasion and 247 armor, which is amazing. And over here we just get more evasion rating as extra armor. Great circle, love it. Over here is how we can equip everything, because we need very high dexterity and we need very high strength. So go ahead and grab the 7% increased attributes first. Grab these 3 nodes here that will reduce attribute requirements for equipment and gems by 12. Math? 12? Yes, math 12. Right. 2% increased damage per 5 of your lowest attributes. Now, that's not amazing. It's a little bit of extra damage because we are putting points into intellect to use our boots. Over here, we've just grabbed more crossbow damage. That's pretty much a no-brainer. And a chance for the... where is it? This. Chance for the attack to not consume a bolt. And we have 25% increased damage for crossbows of each type for animation fired in the past 10 seconds. We're going to be switching between our 2 main skills pretty regularly. So our 25% increased damage is going to be up pretty much all the time. Amazing stuff. Color Hordes, of course, we've already covered that. And we are going to grab of Deterioration. Damaging elements cannot be inflicted on you while you already have one, which is great because you can't be poisoned and bleeding at the same time, or shocked and frozen. It's great stuff. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Maybe not frozen, cold, chill. Either way, only one of them can be afflicted. Great stuff. And increases the magnitude of damaging ailments, which is bleed. And of course, over here we have a gem slot. I've put into magnitude. I might swap that out for bleeding chance, depending on my current rolls. That is it for the passive trees. Onto the fun stuff. Sorcery Ward, obviously, it's a default thing. It's just there. We don't use the normal crossbow bolt. Armor piercing. This is our main bread and butter. We go in and we fire this bad. Switch. We go in. Absolutely spread the damage around and explode everything, which you would have seen on the little preview at the start there. We are linking this to a Martial Tempo to increase attack speed. We are linking this to Demolisher to increase the amount of armor it breaks. It breaks armor very, very quickly, which means it also procs this bad boy here, Armor Explosion. Spotter skills trigger an explosion when they fully break an enemy's armor, which increases the whole splash damage we are doing, because those explosions are going to proc very quickly and do a lot of AoE damage. And we have Chain, which allows us to spread the damage out, obviously. It spreads more arrows, more debuffs. Good stuff. High velocity rounds. We switch this to tougher enemies. We make sure the armor is broken with armor piercing. Switch to high velocity rounds. Let out a burst of damage that causes very high chunk damage, and most likely will kill things pretty fast. Now, Nimble Reload can be swapped out for Scattershot if you prefer 3 rounds rather than 1. I prefer 1 round to do a large amount of damage in one hit, which of course will increase the following bleed if the bleed does proc. Higher damage, bigger bleed. Next, we have that linked to Heft, which increases the range of our physical hit damage, which of course affects our bleed. Over here, we have increased even more physical damage, and we have Execute. Spotter skill deals 50% more damage with hits against enemies that are low life. This is absolutely incredible for bossing. A flat 50% more damage with hits is going to make killing those chunky mobs and bosses a lot easier. Down we have Wind Dance. This thing is absolutely incredible. It makes us very, very tanky. We avoid a lot of damage. So 3 maximum stages. Gain a stage every 1.24 seconds. 10% more evasion rating per stage, so 30 total. On being hit, an enemy consumes all the stages. So we basically avoid ourselves being hit. If we do get hit, the armor takes the hit, and that is also increased by our skills. Because we haven't been hit recently, our armor is increased by 50% more from our passives. It all stacks very nicely. Next, we have that link to Cannibalism. 2% of maximum recovery on kill while supported skill is active. Actually an amazing skill. The sustain this provides us with is incredible. Now, you can swap Vitality to Wind Dance as well. You know, put them wherever you want. But the other support is our Vitality, which increases our regeneration, which is another great sustain. We have that link to Herald of Blood. Herald of Blood is the game changer we have been waiting for as a bleed physical crossbower. Because we didn't have very good clear, we were forced to use grenades. That is no longer the case. We can now go in, proc a bleed, have our Culling Strike proc. The mob then explodes, dealing damage to all the mobs around it, who can then in turn get bleed and explode, causing a massive chain reaction. Very fun, very cool to look at, makes our clear incredibly good. And we don't have to use elemental damage to do it. Oh, it's so good. Alright. And lastly, we got Ripwire, which has kind of been a staple. Because, I mean, we just pop this bad boy down, and it slows dudes, and it aggroes dudes. It's kind of just like just bring it with you. It doesn't need to be linked with too much. You don't even need to use it often. Just chuck it down, have it do its thing, forget about it. All beautiful stuff. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If this has been helpful, please do leave a like and subscribe. And once again, the link to the guide is in the description field. I might also put a comment. Please do go check that out. I spend a lot of time on the written guides, so it's nice to be appreciated. Until next time, guys, bye-bye.